Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown. This is Hangout number 72. Coming to you from Puerto Rico. I'm still here for another 3 days. Please do let me know if you can hear me because this is my third setup here. So I have a new layout, which I'm questioning is going to work. So tell me if you can see and hear me, at least for another, let's see, maybe a few minutes because I just found out it's supposed to rain at 4 p.m., which is the time here in Puerto Rico. We're 1 hour ahead of EST. And if it rains really badly, it's going to hit the tin roof and you won't hear anything I say. we'll like have to take a break, go away, come back. But, I keep trying. And so I'm glad you're here. There's a whole bunch of people here. I'm going to run really quickly through the list. Hi, Betty. You're coming in from Denmark. Lisa S. is here. Anne is here. Let's see who else is here. Grandma Tad is here. Lisa. Did I say Lisa S? Florence is here. Jejun is here. Aisha is here. Let's see. Maria's here. Let's see how Sarah is here. Did I say Florence already? Probably did. Michaela is here. I just repeat everything over and over again. Stephanie is here. If I missed you, Mia's here. I'm sorry if I missed you. You might be coming in now and I won't see you. But I do want to answer the hi. Oh, really? Hi, Mia. Your first time here. Yay. That is fantastic. You're going to like this community. Everybody is super friendly. And if you'd like to be part of this community, yes, you should be. And I have made this, all my live shows, all the chat rooms are patron only. All my shows are public and free to the public, but do subscribe. But if you'd like to be in the chat room and in the community, please do join. Here we go. Oh, wow, that didn't work out. I just copied this so people could see this. Wow, that sucks. Anyway, never mind. Over here it said join Patreon. In the middle it says subscribe and click the bell for notifications and like it and share. And over here, that one I can do. I think I've got that one. Over here it says, hey, you can support the channel by buying a book. And right now, my book, Only the Truth, is a psychological mystery. You can see it's got 445 reviews, almost 5 stars. It costs you all of $2.79 because Amazon just dropped it 20 cents because I guess $2.99 was too much for people to pay. But hey, it's good for you guys. Do read it. It's a really not. I love my book. Okay, I really do. I love the story, and a lot of other people do too. So for $2.79, you can get a really good book, and it supports the channel. Okay, so wow. Okay, so hold on a second. Now I'm sweating like a dog. Oh my God. The air conditioning unit is in the bedroom, right? So I had to close the door to the bedroom for the show. Otherwise, you see the bedroom and it looks kind of funky. Not that I haven't made the bed. But still, now the air conditioning doesn't come through. And so now I'm dying of the heat. It's such fun. Okay, so I want to answer this question though that Anne asked me because I thought it was kind of Anne, I love you dearly, but I thought let's see if I can find your question here. Let's see, where is it? I had this question I wanted to answer, and now I can't find it. What in the? Hold on a second, guys. There's a lot of. Okay, let's see. I'm going to find it soon. Oh, I thought this, Anne. I don't know that you should ask me questions like this. Will Pat be having beer at the early show? Now, Anne, first of all, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and hell yeah. And also, it's cold. Oh, my God. Oh, that feels so good. Oh, who knew that the air conditioning in this place would go completely away as soon as I shut that door? Whoo, okay. And I have been corrected, by the way. This is Residente beer. I was drinking the beer of Puerto Rico on my first show. I drank this last show, and somebody from Dominican Republic, sorry, not Dominican Republic, said, hey, that's a Dominican beer. And they were right. So sorry, Puerto Rico, I'm drinking Dominican beer because I paid for it, and I'm not going to not drink it. Just going up my nose. Anyway, all right, let's get serious here, which I never really am. All right. Can you hear? Oh, I forgot to ask. Can you hear and see me? Just want to make absolutely sure. Oh, that's very nice of you, Lisa. Aw, thank you. Don't forget. Oh, that's not what I was doing. What in the world? For God's sakes. Hold on a second. I'm having issues here, as I usually do. Oh, okay. There. You'd be surprised how hard it is to hit the right thing. Lisa S. says, I read it and it's a wonderful story. Thank you very much. It's one of my favorites. Just really do. Oh, that's true too. Lisa, Pat's mother painted the picture on the cover. This is true. My mother was a watercolor artist. And so when I did this story that was about Arkansas and Tennessee, I decided I would use this particular picture that my mother had painted, and as in honor of her, and also because it's a free book cover. So, but no, I love that picture. So it felt kind of like countryside. So yes, my mother painted that. Oh, I miss my mom. Anyway, okay, let's get to it. I keep asking, can you all hear me? Because I really want to make sure of that. Early tech issues. Yeah, always. Oh, you can see and hear me. Okay, that's the important part, because I don't want to keep going and have you go, why is she not saying anything? All right, so now to start out with something really, what in the world? Hold on a second. New tech issue. Oh my God. All right, having a little tech issue again. All right, here's the first story, because this is an interesting one. See that bird? That bird is a criminal. Yes, that bird is a criminal. You betcha. So anyway, this pigeon, and I showed some pigeons in Puerto Rico, my Facebook page the other week. I said tropical birds, and all these pigeons were there. This pigeon was detained last month at a Canadian prison. Did you know that, Anne? From Canada, at a Canadian prison, when it was discovered to be carrying a backpack that contained crystal meth. Yeah, the bird was found and later captured at the Pacific, it's the other side of the country, Institution Correctional Facility near Vancouver, after officers noticed the high-flying fowl and its cargo. I think this is really interesting. This guy named John Randall, he is the president of the Union of Canadian Correctional Officers. He said, my initial reaction was shock because of all the advancements in technology and the number of drones we have seen. The fact that it's tied to a pigeon is abnormal. So in other words, when you can use a drone, why are you using a pigeon? Right? Anyway, the pigeon was apprehended on the penitentiary wall after the staff set a trap for it. I don't know what they did to the poor bird. They have never seen a winged trafficker in the last 13 years. And they said, smugglers would have an easier time getting the drugs to land in a specific location if they had used drones instead of a live creature. But the official also noted that smugglers have recently had to go to old school with their methods as law enforcement has increased its awareness of drug smuggling drones. So they have to contend with that on a daily basis. That's fascinating. The introduction of drugs into federal prisons is becoming a huge crisis. The whole goal of prisons is to rehabilitate and release people to society as law-abiding citizens. So introducing drugs is scary, especially with a drug like crystal meth. I mean, what a weird story. But this is very true, that we have all these modern technologies, but sometimes you can slide underneath radar of law enforcement using some very, very old-fashioned methodologies. So, you can use drones, you can use birds, you can stick stuff up your butt. I'm pretty much sure there's always a way to get drugs into prison. And it's a sad thing because, I just don't understand the concept. If something is illegal and you're in a facility that is supposed to prevent illegal things from happening, yet that becomes part of prison life. And that bothers me tremendously. But there it is. Oh, thank you. That was very nice. She did a beautiful job. Look at the colors and shadows. That's the book. Thank you very much. All right, now to the next story. Let me find out what my next story is. I have a bunch of them today, which I find very interesting. All right, we gotta mention this. All right, So Alec Baldwin, and thank you, Christine. Christine was the one who sent me the information over because sometimes she see things before I do. I'm like, oh, I might have missed that. Alec Baldwin has been charged with involuntary manslaughter in the deadly shooting of the woman on the left, who was she was one of the persons who was working on the crew filming, and he pointed a gun in her direction and pulled the trigger and killed her. And people are asking, what does this mean? All right. There has been a lot of controversy over the last months about whether Alec Baldwin is responsible for what happened, because supposedly on the set, somebody else is responsible for the guns and responsible for putting what should not be real ammo in the guns. And it's part of the show, because you're shooting guns in the show. So the question is, who's responsible? The person who sets up the guns or the person who pulls the trigger on the guns? Now, this was interesting because he was only like checking out the shot. He wasn't even filming at that time. And he pulled the trigger. And he killed her. What's his responsibility? Now, a lot of people think because he's a famous actor and all that stuff, he's not going to be responsible for anything. But they have actually given him charges. Now, what are my thoughts on this? I'm going to tell you what they are. One is, it is always my belief that whoever holds a firearm is responsible for what happens with the firearm. In other words, the rule always is, you don't point a firearm at somebody unless you want to kill them, or you think you're at risk of being killed, so you're willing to kill them when you pull the trigger, if you pull the trigger. Now, of course, we're on a Hollywood set, so it gets a little trickier because this is part of the movie, essentially. However, you still are the one pulling the trigger, and the thing comes down to, you either have to have 100% trust in the people who set things up, and that's your problem right there. Because if somebody hands me a gun and says it's not loaded, or it's loaded with blanks or whatever, and I just go, okay, I better trust that person 100%, or I'm responsible with them for whatever happens, because I'm still the one holding the gun, pointing it and pulling the trigger. Now, was it murder? No. They're charging him with involuntary manslaughter, which is not going to be a lot. And I think what's going to happen is he's going to plead that down. I'm trying to remember how this works. Is he being charged with manslaughter or involuntary manslaughter? Hold on a second. Let me see which one he's being charged with, because I'm not a legal person, and I don't like to say things incorrectly when it comes down to legal crap, because I'm just not. Don't trust me for that stuff, because I'm not a lawyer. Now I can't find it. Okay. What's here? Anyway, so my theory is this. It's going to be pled down to a misdemeanor. He's going to take a plea instead of going to court. It'll be just a misdemeanor. And because it's a first-time offense, I think he's just going to get like community service. And I think what's going to happen is the law will say we did our job, and people who like Alec Baldwin will say, see, they did their job, and he's doing what he needs to do, which is just some community service, even though he didn't mean to hurt her. And people who don't like Alec Baldwin or are upset about what he did will say it wasn't enough of a sentence, and he's just getting away with it. So I think that's where it's going to end up. So he'll just get community service. And when you look at the issues of community service, I check this out with Cardi B. Now, Cardi B, all right, hopefully I didn't lose this piece of information. Here we go. I got Cardi B here. All right, Cardi B. This one annoyed the hell out of me, though. Cardi B was back in front of the judge in her strip club beatdown case after failing to start the community service portion of her plea deal. And now she's got a new deadline. Look, you know what she did? Remember? Does anybody know what she actually did? Okay. Let me go back to what she did. All right. She was accused of ordering an attack on two strip club bartenders, Jade and Batty G or something like that, way back in August of 2018. And she was arrested and booked a few months later for her alleged role in the strip club fight. Okay, so this huge fight, she pushed this fight, got involved in this fight. These girls got beat up. and she was charged. And all she got was a little community sentence. So Cardi's plea deal also requires her to stay away from the women for 3 years, which she has done, but seems she's failed to keep her part of the community service. Yeah, that all she got was community service. For Christ's sakes, it was ridiculously small community service. 15 days. Oh my, that should make up for what she did. That should cover her crime, and that's such a struggle. I mean, there's people all over the world who do 15 days of community service every month. They help people out in the community. Big freaking deal. So 15 days is like zero. But she didn't even bother to do that. But she appreciates the court giving her until March 1st to complete her community service commitment in Queens, New York. So don't tell me people who have money and fancy furs and are Cardi B and Alec Baldwin don't get a deal. They do, more so than regular people, because they have lawyers, massive lawyers, and they just get away with crap. And it's sad because their crimes are no less than anybody else's crime. So that's my first comment on today. Let's see. Oh, that's a good point. I don't think he did himself any favors by doing all the interviews. This is Alec Baldwin. Yeah, he wanted to stand up for what he just, hey, I didn't mean to kill her. I mean, people will say like he didn't care. I mean, I've seen people say that, whether you like Alec Baldwin or not, I'm pretty sure he was pretty freaked out by what happened. I mean, if you shoot somebody, and I don't believe he did it on purpose, I believe he was careless, like the people on the set were careless. And I'm sure he was horrified. And he will live the rest of his life with the fact that he killed somebody, because he did kill somebody. Should he pay for killing somebody like anybody else, like a drunk driver? To some extent, yes, he should pay for it. But I do believe emotionally, yes, he's going to pay for that the rest of his life, because I'm sure I can't imagine living with that thought that, and didn't mean to do it, but I did it, so it's pretty horrifying. Hi, Martin. Oh, I'm so agreement with you. Give them 50 days with Amber Heard. Let the punishment fit the crime. Yeah, and I only spent an hour with Amber Heard in the green room, and that felt like an eternity. So 15 days with Amber Heard? No, that's inhumane punishment. Don't do it to me. No, that would be dreadful. Yeah. Betty says that's too harsh. It's like a death penalty. So true. So absolutely true. Okay. Now somebody asked me, they said, every one of my hangouts, I should do a soapbox, because what usually happens is by the end of the hangout, I end up on a soapbox. So somebody said, why don't we have Pat's soapbox in the front? Like I put a little ribbon up here, Pat's soapbox. Oops. Usually I use an iPad, but I didn't bring it with me to Puerto Rico, so I'm doing my phone. So much harder with a phone to see anything. Just whack the crap out of that. All right. So I'm going to do a soapbox, and I have 3 soapboxes just to annoy the hell out of you. All right. But I think they're important soapboxes. So let's see what they are. All right. So the first one. Oh, wait. No. I have to do something else before. Oh, no, this is my first soapbox. Hold on a second. This is a Delphi soapbox. All right. I got to bring out the Delphi soapbox first. All right. This woman. Oh my God. She appeared on Dr. Phil. Well, there you go. Right there. You should never appear on Dr. Phil, because he's an ass, and I will never go on a show ever again. But that's a whole nother story. Anyway. So this woman, what she said was, hold on a second. Let me find what she said. Sorry, I'm sweating so bad. It is like raging hot in here. Oh my God. And I'd open up that door, but no, I can't do that. Okay. Let me find what she said. It was so dumb. And the reason I want you to understand how dumb this is. Okay. Where did it go? Hold on a second. I got a lot of stuff on here. So I got to try to roll down here. Oh, cripes. Why can't I find it? Oh man. Oh, here we go. Sorry. All right. Here's what this woman's name is. Let me find her name to start off with. And I'll tell you what my problem that is. All right. Trial attorney. I'm going to put a picture up here again. Mercedes Cohen. First of all, trial attorneys should not be profiling crimes, talking about how profiles work and stuff like that. Just like I said with Alec Baldwin, I'm not an attorney. Don't believe a whole hell of a lot what I say about anything legal. Listen to a lawyer on that, an attorney who knows what they're talking about. I'm just going to sort of tell you a vague thing because I'm not an attorney. Okay. This woman has decided she's going to profile this crime. When asked, Mercedes Cohen, the trial attorney, suggested the sheath. You know what the crime? So what happened at the crime was there was Brian. I forgot his freaking name now. I try not to use his name, so I forgot it. Brian Kohberger. Okay, Brian Kohberger, who was a suspect in the Idaho murders, left a sheath, or let me rephrase that. The killer of the 4 students in Idaho left a sheath, a knife sheath at the crime scene that they got DNA off of, which matched to Brian Kohberger, which is why I'm going to pretty much say the dude's going down. But now, why did he leave the sheath? Now, this is what gets so retarded. Oh, did I just use a word that's not allowed anymore? Oops. Okay. I love that word. Hey, and I worked with people with mental disabilities, but that's still a good word for people who are stupid, not people who have actual problems biologically. All right. So anyway, when asked, trial attorney Mercedes Cohen suggested the sheath may have been left at the crime scene on purpose. It could be. I mean, it's almost as if we've seen this with other killers. Which one of those, Mercedes? Because I have no idea where you're getting your crap from. It's their calling card. Really? They leave their weapons on purpose. They leave evidence on purpose because it's their calling card. I'm assuming she means signature, like something that tells everybody, hey, it's me. She said, okay, especially if you think you're smarter than everyone else. And he had gloves, at least what's presumed he had gloves. He tried to cover himself, did something to dispose of the clothing. If in fact he is the killer, of course, this is something that could have been just a calling card and left there. Okay, I gotta drink something. Oh my God. No, stop talking about crap you have no clue about. You have you come across as an idiot. There's no way in God's earth that the killer of those 4 students purposely left his sheath from his knife that could be identified, especially with DNA on it. Okay, let's assume he didn't know his DNA was on it. Would you still leave a sheath of your knife on purpose? No, you would not. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So if you're going to leave it, the quote signature idea, not calling card, a calling card. Oh my God, every once in a while, I mean, there are shows where a guy will literally leave like a card at the crime, like a jewel thief will leave like the ace of diamonds, and the next crime, it'll be the ace of hearts. All right. That's a guy leaving a calling card. All right. And most of the time, what they're actually talking about signature, like the guy does something he doesn't need to do as an amusement, like Boston Strangler, tying a bow around their neck. Although he didn't do that at most of his crimes, but and certainly in Hollywood, they leave signatures at every crime, like an X on the forehead, and every woman has an X on the forehead. So you go, oh my goodness, there's 5 women with X's on their forehead. It's got to be the same guy. How useful. Almost never happens in real life, which is why we have trouble linking crimes and figuring out who did all of these crimes and if these crimes even are the same guy. So I do not believe in any way Brian Kohberger or the killer of the Idaho students left the sheath at the crime as a calling card. And here's the problem. People believe this garbage. That's the problem. When people speak outside of an area where they have any knowledge of, have any competence in, and people believe them, then you see this go all over the internet. I'm going to swear to God, we're going to see this by all the armchair profilers. Oh my God, he left his calling card there. That sheath was a calling card. I wonder how many other crimes he left his sheath at. And there we go. This is just stupid stuff. And it bugs me when I see that kind of nonsense being put out there. And nobody questions it during the show, of course, because they're like, oh, that's interesting. No, it's not. It's nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense. Here's a good point. Michaela, Ramirez changes MO all the time. Yeah, MO. Let me explain MO and signature. Hold on a second. Oh, that's why I actually drink the beer, because, oh my gosh. And it's vacation. All right. So MO is method of operation, modus operandi. It's what you do to commit the crime because it's useful to do. For example, you want to control the person, you use a knife. That's modus operandi. That you wear a mask to cover yourself so nobody can identify you, modus operandi, MO. That you break into houses to kill as opposed to killing in the park. That's a MO. The person always breaks into a house. Except, as you point out, not always true. MO changes over time a lot. Sometimes it changes because whatever you did last time didn't work so well. Like you used a knife and then you ended up cutting yourself and leaving your DNA and you weren't happy about that. So next time you strangled. Or one time you strangled and took too damn long, so they decided the knife was better. Or you got to the crime scene and you realized you forgot your knife, so you use a rock. So you tried inside crimes and they weren't so thrilling, so you went to outside crimes. And some killers will change their MO all the time. So MO is, you can link crimes with MO, but not necessarily absolutely. You gotta be careful about that. Signature is something you do just for the fun of it. And not so much you're leaving a calling card, but just you enjoy doing that. You didn't need to do that to commit the crime. But, that also gets really sketchy because it's a lot of times the profile is saying, oh, I think that's a signature, when it could just be an MO. So you have to be very careful about your confidence level at claiming things that may or may not be true. But that's a very good point. Michaela says if it's a signature, it's going to get very costly for a serial killer. Yeah, a signature can then link crimes if it's that outrageous. That most of them just don't do that because they're more interested in the actual experience than some extra thing. I mean, it's just really, really rare. Any kind of true signature is so rare that it's overdone, and it's because it's been picked up by Hollywood because it makes for a good show. It gets a little out of. Oh, that's an interesting point. And Michaela said the person you choose to kill is MO. Yes, and again we have this problem of is it the same every time? Like there are some who will only kill pretty young things, like cheerleader types. And there are some who will kill cheerleader types, but they started with prostitutes and then they went to cheerleader types from the neighborhood. And then there are some who've killed older women in the 20s or 30s and then gone ahead and killed a 10-year-old. So that even gets confusing. So you have to just be, the point about profiling is to be aware that you cannot have a pronouncement. The pronouncement stuff bothers me. It's very like, you can puff your chest out, say, oh, well, this is what happened. And I'm so brilliant because you never caught the guy, so you'll never prove me wrong. But this is what this is. This is MO, this is signature, blah, blah, blah. But that's not helpful in the investigation. And profiling is for the investigation. Profiling doesn't serve any point outside of the investigation. I mean, it's amusing to put on TV. It's amusing to just think it's cool. But the real point of profiling is to narrow your leads down and to figure out where you want to go and who the suspects are. That's the point of profiling. That should be done an investigative point. The rest of it's just fluff, So, but that's the way it works. All right. Mia says, honestly, I think CSI has made too many people think they are an FBI expert into the mind of the killer. The MO, calling cards. It's embarrassing and cringe. Yeah, it is. But it's not the fault of, it's not the fault of the viewers. It's the fault of the FBI, who has been pushing this for years, writing these brag books that, oh, this is how this worked. And there's a lot of good stuff that was done in the early years of the FBI, which should be appreciated. But then there's the stuff that's been exaggerated, getting into the mind of the killer. I mean, I understand how killers work, but if you actually meld with the mind of the killer, you need psychiatric help. So, but that one really bugged me because I'm like, oh, here we go with nonsense again. And by the way, the guy that I said put out that completely ridiculous, I can't say retarded again, can I? Ridiculous video claiming all the crimes linked to Kohberger. He's now up to 250,000 views on that one video. Asininity pays off. What can I say? I've never gotten 250,000 views. Anyway, all right. That's my soapbox number 1. My soapbox number 2. I just want to mention this because we are forgetting this stuff, things that are coming up that I think is important for people to understand in this world that we're in today. This is the blue line flag that the police, many police will have on their houses in different places, and it simply is a memory of those officers who have died in a line of work. My family has one. My family's law enforcement, and we have one. It's no big deal. We have one because we know people who've died in the line of law, friends who've died in the line of duty, and it's a way to remember them and appreciate what they've done. But guess what happened with this guy? Let me find it. It's very small in here. Okay, here we go. So this guy, a Minnesota police officer, and Christine, if you're here, I've lived in Minnesota. You live in Minnesota. We know what's going on in Minnesota. It's very sad. Minnesota police officer was forced to walk back a social media post from earlier this month after some critics were offended that he posted a thin blue line flag to commemorate law enforcement on National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. I mean, it's just an appreciation. They said it was a symbol there's a symbol they don't like. They think it's it's some kind of an anti everything else thing when you put up pro police anything. But now here's what gets really concerning, and this is what I've been saying over and over again. That what are the statistics on this? The statistics, I think I put up 2 different ones here. There's I think 20 to 25% more police officers killed this year, last year than in years before. A lot of domestics, and these are some of the domestics are just setups to kill police, that the police show up and then they're mowed down. And that's really, really frightening. Minnesota has had so many people, Minneapolis has so many people retire. They're begging people to come back and no one will come back, and they don't have enough police. And I keep saying, there are definitely issues with, any profession that you've got your bad apples. But if you make it so that you say everyone in that profession is a bad apple and we're going to treat you as such, you're not going to have any law enforcement and you're not going to have any safety. And that's insane. That's just absolutely insane. And it bugs the heck out of me. That's one little soapbox. Now here's the next one. See this lovely woman. This lovely woman. There's another thing we're having happening in society, and we better face it. This woman was killed. Let's see. Hold on a second. Let me find it. Oh, here she is. This woman, very pretty lady. Now, I happen to know this location. I'm going to talk about Prince George's County, Maryland, where I live. 3 different incidents. And I want you to tell me what the common denominator is. Boy, 15, faces murder charge after shootout killed a woman at a Southeast DC carryout. A woman, that woman went to this carryout. It was on Benning Road, and she was before 9 p.m. It wasn't even late at night. She went to pick up some food at the Moonstar carryout. While she was there, this teenager pulled out a gun, discharged a gun multiple times, and struck this 54-year-old Dale Henson and killed her. So she just went to pick up her groceries, just some food, some takeout food. Now I know that particular area of town because Now that was actually in DC, but it's on the borderline of Prince George's County. I did a lot of work in the hospitals in that area, so it wasn't unlikely that I too may have stopped by to get some takeout food. So I could have been killed right there and then. Now listen to this. All right, suspects arrested. Prince George's County Police have arrested 3 suspects accused of robbing taxi drivers in Langley Park, Maryland over the last 2 months. One was 20, another one was 20. They all took place in 5 armed robberies. A separate but similar case, an unnamed 15-year-old was arrested and charged with allegedly robbing 2 other taxi drivers at knife point. Now, that 15-year-old, where was that information on the 15-year-old? The 15-year-old already was up on a gun charge and was back out in the community. Okay, and there's one more I wanted to point out here. Let's see, is it this one? Okay, let's see. There's one more. Maybe it was this one. Oh, sorry, it's not there. Oh, yes, so this one, ghost gun. Now, check this one out. 2 teenage boys are accused of stealing a car at gunpoint in Prince George's County, Maryland. They're looking for the 3rd suspect. It happened at 11 p.m. on Silver Hill Road in Suitland, Maryland. The police pursued the vehicle. The suspects crashed into a tree. 3 people ran from the car, and 2 teenagers, 14 and 15, were taken into custody. 14 and 15. Police also found a ghost gun, a loaded ghost gun, a firearm without a serial number inside the car. The 2 boys are currently in custody of DC. The 14-year-old is from District Heights, and the 15-year-old who was arrested for carjacking in a neighboring jurisdiction in January of 2022 was from Suitland. He's already a carjacker. From what was that? From the year before. What's he doing running around on the streets if he's a carjacker? Now, what do you notice in common with all of those cases? There you go. Well, right off the bat, the perpetrators were all teenagers. Yes, right off the bat. And of course, I wasn't trying to hide that. But yes, we have a lot of teenagers in my area that are participating. Carjacking has gone out of control. And the funny thing about it is, not so funny. Carjacking used to be for the purpose of what you would do is you would carjack somebody, then you would use that car to commit crimes, to commit robberies, and then you dump the car. Now they don't even seem to be bothering with the robbery part. They're just carjacking to go run around in the car. And you're like, for a joyride? You carjack for a joyride? You used to boost a car for a joyride, and somebody steal a car, but now you're carjacking for a joyride. So it's very, very frightening. And we're having teens doing this, and it's getting younger and younger. 15 years old, they have guns, and they're shooting the guns. Not only the carjacking, but the robberies and the gang things. It's out of control, and we seem to be ignoring that. And poor parenting. Yeah, you think? Yeah, I would say that's a pretty big issue. And the area I live in, I live in Prince George's County, Maryland. We have not had a great reputation. Our sister counties are considered better places to live. But I have always loved PG County. I've lived here 35 years. And I've always known there's areas that have always been dangerous. But I've worked all over Prince George's County and in Washington, D.C. And I have never been fearful. But I am fearful now. Because before it used to be something that made sense, like you were actually literally involved in a drug deal. Now it just seems random. It seems out of control, like teenagers just going wild, but with going wild, not with punches, but going wild with weapons. And this is a huge problem. Jim, hello, Jim. A big problem, low bond release. We're just putting people right back on the street. And they have no respect for the law. And you know why? Because they should have no respect for the law. Why would you have respect for a law that goes, oh, never mind, just go home. Go to the same home that just let you have a gun. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. It's frightening. So that's my second one. Now, I have one more I want to point out. It's sort of another problem we're having in this country, and we don't seem to want to face it, but People get killed over this crap. These are this is, you're calling it Goshen? I thought it wasn't Goshen. Hold on a second. Hold on, might be sure I don't have a mix up here in my pictures, because we all know I do that. And then somebody's going to say, oh, Pat, that's not even the person. I'm like, yeah, I know. All right, I screwed up. But let me be sure I got the right one. Okay, that is her. Okay, these are called the Goshen homicides. 6 people were murdered. All right, 6 people. And this girl was murdered. This teenage girl and her little baby were both shot. All right, now you wonder, how did this happen? Now, I'll tell you how this happens. And this is something we need to face very, very soon. Let me, hopefully I can find where did it go? Okay, they call it the Tulare Massacre. All right, let me explain this one, because I think this is just very important as far as crime goes. All right, Tulare Massacre, mother and infant. That's the one you just saw. Let me put up a picture again, because this poor girl and that baby will never have another day of life. There they are. The victims in this were among 6 people killed execution style. They were trying to escape. The victims were identified. And this is we talk about profiling. I want to talk about profiling here, because I profile this like this time. I'm like, okay, in 3 seconds flat, I knew what had happened and I knew who was responsible. Sorry. Did you hear the car horn outside? Okay. The victims were identified Tuesday. Let me put the picture up of the victims. All right. It's not a very good picture, but it's the best I can do. All right. 72-year-old Rosa Perez. 52-year-old Eladio Perez Jr. 50-year-old Jennifer Analia. 19-year-old Marcos Perez. 16-year-old Elisa Perez, and 10-month-old Nicholas Perez. Okay. Look at those 6 pictures. Who the hell is responsible for this crime? I mean, they were the victims, but I want to ask you, who do you think is responsible for the crime? Here's a profiling challenge. Right here. Let me see what your comments are. Okay. Who of those 6 people? Now, were they 6 totally innocent people? I mean, they were just sitting in their house. They were having dinner. Somebody came in and shot all 6 of them down for no reason whatsoever. Is that true? All right. Starting out on a good foot, Mia. Cartels. You betcha. This is a cartel shooting. Even that girl and the baby were shot in the head. Execution style. All right. Cartels. Well, why would the cartels have anything to do with these people? Now, of those 6 people, does anybody stand out to you? Oh, the man. Okay, let me see. How many men do we have? Okay, let's look at the men, Jim. We've got 52-year-old. So 72-year-old Rosa, that was the grandmother. She was sleeping at the time. 52-year-old Eladio Perez, 52. Then there was his, I think, a 50-year-old wife. I think that's probably his wife. 19-year-old Marcos, probably his kid. And Elisa Perez, probably his kid. And the baby, probably his grandchild. Oh, you mean the 52-year-old man? You think, Jim? Now, why would you think that 52-year-old man would have anything to do with it? Okay, let's take a look. Okay, a young mother in Tulare, I think it's Tulare, but I don't know. I'm not in California. Tulare County, California, was fleeing for her life with her infant son in her arms, and they were murdered in a cartel-style execution following the killings of 4 other family members. All right, none of this was by accident, said Sheriff Mike Boudreau. It was deliberate, intentional, and horrific. All right, now let's say they were all killed in the early morning hours. A couple of them escaped by hiding in a room and holding the door shut. All right, now let's go down a little further. Let's see. Okay, this is what I did. I'm like, okay, I'm looking for the dude, right? I'm looking for that 52-year-old dude, Jim, because I'm thinking the same thing. It's like these people didn't come in there for no reason. And who was the most likely person to be involved in something they shouldn't have been involved in? The 52-year-old guy. All right, so here we go. The house where the massacre occurred was known to law enforcement. Really? Boudreaux said that on January 3rd, patrol officers conducted a parole compliance check at the home. Oh, somebody was on parole. Basically, what that is when we know people who are on felony parole and are in the community, we stop by to make sure they're abiding by the law. During that compliance check, deputies saw shell casings laying on the ground outside the home. When asked if the officers could go inside and search, they refused, which prompted the sheriff's department to issue a search warrant on the home. During the search, deputies found that Eladio Perez Jr., Mr. 52-year-old dude, who already had felony convictions, a little more honking outside, who was in possession of ammunition, felon in possession of a firearm, felon in possession of a short-barreled rifle, felon in possession of an assault weapon, a loaded weapon, in possession of a firearm, and possession of a controlled substance. Okay, he was arrested but posted bail 4 days later. Part of our duties is to go into these homes and try to remove guns, drugs, and that type of activity. And this home is known to us. That's how I'm able to say this is gang-related activity or cartel. I'm going to go with cartel. I've also been quoted as saying this was a cartel-like execution. Make no mistake, says the guy. I'm not saying this is a cartel, but also be clear that I'm not eliminating that possibility, the sheriff explained. It's cartel. Okay, so the cartel in California. The sheriff said the cartel is well known in the Central Valley as well throughout the state. When it comes to certain gangs as well as the cartel, there are local connections that spread across the state. Now, that is because of illegal selling of drugs and the unsecured southern border. There's a lot of money to be made, all right? There's a lot of back and forth that comes to cartels and the free movement up and down the state and across the border. And what has happened is with the legalization of marijuana, there are legal grow sites. There's like 1,000 or more legal grow sites in California now, like here and here and here. But in between the legal grow sites, the cartels decided, why the hell should we grow shit in Mexico and further south if we can just hide it out inside the legal grow sites? We grow too, and they don't know we're here, and then we undercut the legal grow. And that's why the cartels have moved into California. So I'm sorry, I'm totally opposed to legalization of marijuana for the use. I'm okay with the medical part, even though everybody's cheating on that. But we're seeing a massive increase in drug use and massive increase in the cartels moving into this country. And I have spent time in Mexico. I love Mexico. I do. I love Mexico. And I feel very safe most of the time in Mexico in the locations I go. But I know there are places in Mexico which are so bad that the residents are terrified and are murdered right and left. And the same happened in Colombia. The same happened in other countries going south of the border. So in order to give a good life to the people south of the border and give a good life to our own nation, this is my soapbox. We need to stop this kind of the drug use. It's ridiculous, and it's destroying all of our countries. Okay, that's my soapbox. There we go. That's it for today. And but it's funny because when I looked at that case, I immediately said it's the 52-year-old guy. He's involved in the cartel. He pissed the cartel off, got his whole family killed. That's the way it works. All right. And that's my little soapbox. But the next one is really important. And this one is for everyone here, because I talk about this a lot. And I'm amazed how many people do stuff like this. And I talk about it, but this is like the best example I've ever seen. And it's horrifying, absolute horrifying example. Okay. This is a lovely woman. And this is her son. And this is her husband on the right, her daughter in the middle, and that same son on the left. They have two children. They're a lovely couple with two children. All right, let me tell you this story. And this is for everybody here. This is how to not make this horrifying mistake, because you have good hearts. A lot of people have very good hearts, and in doing so, they let down their guard and they do stuff that they shouldn't do. The article is called "They Welcomed Him into Their Home, and This Is How He Repaid Them." Mom of two, let me show you the picture again. Tracey Wilkinson was a former British Latin American ballroom dancing champion. The 50-year-old had struggled with alcohol for years, but she got clean at a rehab center, which she continued to visit as a voluntary support worker. All right. She had a heart for people who struggled, and she knew what addiction would do. So she wanted to help other people who had addiction problems. She gave her support to the center. I'm good with that. If you want to support something, if you want to support people struggling with addictions, people struggling with homelessness, whatever you're supporting, support it through an organization which has some kind of, shall we say, barriers to you having an overly personal relationship, where you can help people and not set yourself up, where you can be sure that those people who are asking for help are actually doing something to deserve that help. Let me tell you what happened. In 2015, she discovered 22-year-old, this character here. His name is Aaron Barley. He was sleeping rough, the new term for he was homeless. He was sleeping rough in a Tesco supermarket parking lot. And on the same day, she welcomed him into her family's lavish home. She felt obliged to help him after seeing him cold and hungry in a cardboard box. You see a dog in a cardboard box, you can bring the dog home. You see a human in a cardboard box, you can feel sorry for that person, but you better step back and ask yourself, why are they in the cardboard box? Why are they in the situation? And should you risk your own family? Because she had 2 children, okay? When you have kids, you can't put, I mean, those are your number one responsibilities. You cannot risk their lives for somebody you have no clue what's wrong with them, who they are, or what they're going to do. She did that because she just thought, oh, I feel so bad. She was, oh, I feel terrible. Aaron, who is Aaron Barley? Now, look, this is the guy in the cardboard box, okay? Aaron Barley was born in 1994. His parents were an uncle and a niece. Okay. He was conceived through incest. At least this is the claims here at this point. Okay. His mother died from cancer when he was 4. Heart attack killed his father. So now he's an orphan by 6. He spent the rest of his youth in various relatives and in a series of foster homes, all of which were traumatic experiences. Now, here's the important part. His former carers described him as the Jekyll and Hyde type. In one moment, he may be warm, charming, and sensitive. Then he'll flip the switch and show you a more sinister, dangerous aspect of his personality. Folks, that's called psychopathy. The dude is a psychopath. Even when he was young, he was a psychopath. And you cannot trust a psychopath. He had a lot of issues while in care. He was expelled from the children's home when he was 11 years old due to violent attacks on other kids and the theft of a car belonging to a staff member. At 12, he penned a list of individuals he wished to kill. He also wrote on Facebook about his desire to cut people up. He was 18 when he was sentenced to 3 years in prison for hitting an ex-girlfriend with a wood. I'm not sure what that means exactly. Okay. I'm not sure if that means a golf club or his personal parts. But anyway, sorry, I couldn't resist. Even though he was cocky and popular, he quickly dropped out of college after enrolling. He moved around a lot and worked at random jobs. Along the way, he picked up over 20 assault and burglary convictions. Again, our criminal justice system fails miserably. And, we got, that 3-strike system, which we seem to think is cruel and unusual punishment. 20 convictions and you still just running around the neighborhood? I have issues. He became severely dependent on drugs and was eventually forced to live on the street. All right. Friends regarded Tracey Wilkinson, this is the woman, as a kind, compassionate, and giving lady, so it was no surprise she took Aaron under her wing and attempted to help him make something of his life after a traumatic childhood spent in and out of foster care and early loss of both parents. Now, let me tell you something straight up here. There's a lot of people you can help in the world. Okay. There's little children you can help. There are elderly people you can help. There are people who you can help in many ways that don't include getting a guy you don't know off the street out of a box, bring him into your home when you have no clue that he's a violent felon and a psychopath. That's foolish, and you have kids in your home. Anyway, gets worse. She's so kind that she accompanied him to council offices and assisted him in securing a hostel room. She took him in, fed him, and introduced him to her husband, Peter, and her two children. Then she made arrangements to have breakfast and dinner prepared for him daily. I mean, he's being treated like a king. Sincerely appreciative, Aaron kept telling Tracey, of course he's sincerely appreciative, as a psychopath will be as long as he's got you doing his duty. I just need someone to give me a chance, a lucky break. I've heard that one before. If I just had one chance, I'd be okay. No, you've had probably 30 chances, but you never took advantage of any of them, and you kept abusing people. Peter, Tracey's husband, managed to get Aaron an entry-level position as a construction worker at his company. By now, Aaron has a place to live, food to eat every day, a reliable source of income, and a mobile phone thanks to the Wilkinsons. In addition, they arranged for him to attend an alcohol and drug rehabilitation facility. Aaron finally had some good luck for once in his life. He had good luck before, he just screwed everybody over. Believe me, he had much good luck before. But the generosity of total strangers had finally given him the break he'd been hoping for. No, one more break that he would take advantage of. Sadly, there's no happy ending. So then he started using drugs again, and things went downhill. He became hostile. They gave him, the people at the location he was staying at gave him a chance to shape up, but they had to let him go. And then he disappeared from their house. He was living in their house. He disappeared from there. But a few weeks later, he showed up sleeping in their driveway. They were kind again and gave him a place to live again, giving him food and helping him find a place to live. They patched things up, and he started hanging around the house, performing small chores for them in exchange for food. On Christmas Day, he joined the family for the activities. There was genuine affection in his relationship with Tracey. Aaron wrote, "To the mother I never had." Oh my God, this is called being a sucker of the nth degree. And giving this guy chance after chance after chance when he's already proven this guy is a criminal psychopath. All right. Volunteers at the rehabilitation center stated he had become obsessed with knives and weapons, raising severe concerns about his safety and others. He confessed to them that all he ever wanted to do was kill people with knives, especially law enforcement officials. They didn't report him. Of course not. His words were written off as drug-induced bravado. Anxious about the content of Aaron's Facebook messages, his foster caretaker ultimately reported him. As a result of her concerns, he then wrote these messages to authorities. "I have nothing left to lose. You're all going to pay for it. Got to get some help before I go on a killing spree. Don't blank with me. I am unstable." And then he hid outside the Wilkinson's backyard. There he is. As he waited for Peter to walk the family dog, he'd be seen crawling around the yard in ninja garb. Peter, that's the husband, got up a little before 7 a.m. and walked their greyhound, Mandy. He asked his son, Pierce, to come with him, but the teenager said he would go with him the next day and decided to stay in. Sadly, that walk would never happen. After Aaron sneaked into the house and through an open door, he killed Tracey and Pierce by stabbing them as they slept, and then he attacked Peter when he got back. Pierce, the schoolboy, was stabbed so hard it nearly split his spinal cord, whilst Tracey was stabbed as many as 20 times because she was the mother he never had. Aaron leapt at him, stabbing him in the chest. Peter returned. Aaron leapt at him, stabbed him in the chest and back. In the garden, he made a desperate phone call for assistance as he lay on the ground. Now, he actually survived. The husband survived. The girl was not, she was at school. So the husband and the daughter are alive today. Now, the end of this, I'm just... This is why it's at the end. You just got to pay attention to this. Peter Wilkinson, Tracey's husband, spoke to the media after the court hearing and praised his wife, saying Tracey was a beautiful woman inside and out. She was so elegant and stylish and loved her family. She was also very compassionate, which led her to caring for others. When she found Aaron sleeping rough outside a supermarket, she wanted to help. She could have helped him in many, many ways that didn't include having him be with part of her family. We gave Aaron help, invited him into our home for meals, found him accommodation and a job, and he saw Tracey as a mother figure. No, he didn't. He saw Tracey as a sucker. Until this happened, I never considered him dangerous or a threat. All right. Sorry. Whew. Never saw him dangerous or a threat. Why? You did not know who this guy was. You didn't check into his background. The guy was a longtime felon with massive amount of problems and a very, very bad background. We never saw him as a threat. Why? Because you felt sorry for him and he seemed sweet at the time. This is how you get killed. Okay. And it's okay to care for others. I'm not trying to say you shouldn't do charitable works. You should, but there's a lot of ways to do charitable works that help people without them killing you. That's something I would just want to point out, because I think that too many people think that they should just take this risk, and they shouldn't. You have a right to decide how you're going to give. Okay. For example, if you want to give to people who are, I like, for example, the shops that you can give clothing to a shop for like ladies who want to go for, and for men who want to go get jobs. They don't have the proper clothes to wear. You donate your clothing to those shops, and then they have something decent to wear to an interview. That's excellent. Absolutely excellent. Anything that helps them while they help themselves and doesn't put you at risk. And if you want to be put at risk, if you're willing to risk yourself, okay, don't risk your family. You have children. Your children shouldn't be killed because of your decision to be helpful to whomever. That your children are your first responsibility. Live up to that and say, am I taking too much of a risk, and my family is going to get killed for it? And I'm not saying I haven't done stupid stuff, and I've probably taken the risks I shouldn't have taken myself. And so I speak from experience. And I look back and think, that was dumb. That was dumb. I shouldn't have done that. And I just want to warn people, because this can happen to you too. Help people. Go through an organization, work with them, give your volunteer time, give your money, whatever that is, something that truly helps people help themselves. That's my real soapbox for today. All right, let me go back up and see what you have to say about this. All right. But going back, Mia says, I live in Arizona and go to Mexico. The places you would never go. Back to the cartel thing. Yes, I love Mexico. Mexico City is fabulous. There's a lot of cities that are fabulous in Mexico, but there are certain places in Mexico, Sinaloa, you might want to skip. Don't go where the cartels are very active. That's what I would say. Not a safe place. Let's see what else you have to say here. This is interesting. Hudson Lawrence, hi. So true. I know this from experience too. Dude I helped is now in jail. I got lucky. Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky thing between wanting to be a good human being and not wanting to be suckered into becoming a victim. And you have to really pay attention to that, because in my opinion, a person who's looking for help has to be also fair to the people they're getting help from. And if they're not willing to do those things, then I'm sorry, I'm not willing to help you. It's kind of like that. So to me, when you've got issues, there are places you can go to get help. And those are the places I would prefer to support than taking my chances on, I have no clue what's going on. You're on the street and you're just going to say, hey, I want to come live in your house. I'll bind you. I have made that mistake too. I mean, I have, and then I look back and go, that wasn't too bright, but I did things that I felt sorry about. Okay, maybe that person, all they need is that chance, and I'll give them a safe place to live. And if they can follow the rules, and most of the time they didn't. I have had one good experience. I did, even though the guy was in and out of jail. I did have a good experience. Opened up my home to a woman who had just been diagnosed HIV positive through rape. Her husband stayed with her. They had a baby, and they lived in my home for a year. And they were good people, outside of the fact I kept getting calls from the jail, because he was a bit of he would work, and then he kind of like did a few little shady things. And but he loved her, and he took care of her, and they moved on to their own apartment. And then he stayed with her and took care of her till the day she died. I give him credit for that. I mean, he's still kind of like a little bit of a low-life criminal, not a severe criminal or anything, but I got lucky with that, because I mean, he definitely had some criminality issues. And I'm thinking, I look back and I go, my kids were in the house. Why did I play that off so lightly? And I shouldn't have. I mean, yes, I did help him, and it turned out well, but it could have turned out badly. I don't think I was too bright. Let's see what else you have to say. Help kids. Okay, this is interesting. You're saying this. Never help able-bodied man, but help kids and women. Well, a lot of those women are able-bodied too, and a lot of the women are as they can be as conniving and psychopathic as the men. Be careful of that. Too often, people think that the women are like, oh, she's totally helpless. She's this, she's that. And she's also burned through her family. She's gone through, every relative won't have her in the house anymore because she steals from them. She steals, money from them. She does things to them. There's psychopathic women out there like a lot. So you can't necessarily trust women either. And so, again, do something through a situation which is safe for your family. That's my biggest point. That's safe for your family, because your children that you're raising are at your mercy. And if you bring people into your home that are questionable, then you put your children at their mercy. It's just, I look back, I say, I made my mistakes too. So I just want to warn people about that, because when your kids get murdered because you decided to be kind to somebody else, was that okay? I mean, I'm sure her son is not thrilled about the fact she brought this psychopath into the home to kill him. And I'm sure the daughter doesn't appreciate the fact that her mom and brother are dead because mom was so soft-hearted she had to help a man that was a psychopathic criminal, But she thought she was doing a good thing. But she wasn't really doing a good thing, not for her kids. She was doing a good thing for the thought that you should help people. But kids should come first. Your own kids should come first. That's a good point. Grandma Tat says, I used to feel bad for having boundaries. Oh, that's a great point. When I was younger, but manipulators love to make you feel bad for not doing what they want. Absolutely. Boundaries are okay. Having a line is okay. I'll help you, but only in this way. I won't help you in this way, and I don't have to help you. You can't, and you shouldn't have to, if you have to guilt me into helping you, you're a manipulator. Because you don't guilt somebody into helping you. You don't say, well, why would you help me? I mean, if only I had a chance. What kind of person are you? Aren't you a decent person? Somebody's telling you that bull, tell them to go jump right away, because they're abusing you. They're abusing you and you're manipulating. Have a line. You don't have to do that. Yes, very good. Benny says, it's a case of the good Samaritan gene in all of us, except psychopaths. Good. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, it shows a good side of your nature to have the good Samaritan part. And of course, yes, you're right. Psychopaths don't have that part, which is why they can manipulate you when you do have that part. Wanting to feel the joy of, there's more joy in giving than receiving, but that should only be done to people who don't kill you. Yes. I mean, it's wonderful to help somebody and see them, then come out of whatever issue they're in and succeed in life. And you can feel good about that. It's okay to do that. But you got to be careful of how you do that. You really do. Same thing is true. I talked about adoption before. You have to be very careful. Sorry. Sorry. Adoption and foster care are the same thing. My advice is never, ever adopt a child or do foster care for a child who is older than the children you have. Make sure that your children are way older than them, because they can become violent and dangerous to your own children. As much as you would like to help kids can be dangerous. And so once you have your kids in the house, your responsibility is to them first. If you're going to bring another child in the house, and I've had a foster daughter and I have an adopted son who's grown up and he's wonderful. You just don't know what they can do to the kids that are already there. And you've already got your responsibility. And if you're going to help somebody else, then you have to weigh it out and make sure that they're not going to harm what you already have and your responsibilities first. So yeah, be very, very cautious of that. That is very true, Hudson. They look for suckers, and that feeds their narcissism and psychopathy. Yes, women especially. one of the reasons you see serial killers that seem to always love their mommies is because women are suckers. A lot of times they don't like their dads because their dads are like, get out of here. You're a screw up. Go away. But mom's like, oh, I want to help you, honey. I still want to help you, dear. And so women are suckers. It's true. And so, yeah. And Deanie, it's like people who want to own a lion. True that. It is what it is. And sometimes it's a snake. It's a snake, or it's a lion, or it's something that is going to attack you. And it might have some moments of where it's really cute and all of that. You just want to save its little life. The old one about which one is it? I always forget which one it was, crossing the water and giving him the ride. And then it's like, and then he eats him at the end and he goes, well, you knew I was whatever I was. It's like, yeah, that's true. Never give your name. That can be, that's an interesting point. Use a fake name. Yeah, I mean, you just have to be cautious. And because, first of all, people always can find out where you live these days. It's a frightening thing. No matter how much you hide, people can find you. They can find you just on the internet because for whatever reasons, even if your name isn't really sometimes a difficult name. I mean, it's like mine, Pat Brown. It's amazing how it often shows up in these searches that you can do. And you're like, oh crap, there's my address. Sucks. So yeah, I think you have to be cautious of that kind of thing. All right. Now let's see what else I have on my little thing that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about, all right. Benny had asked me to talk about this little girl. She's just gone missing. And I want to talk about the issue of when we talk about why we think oftentimes that it's more likely that the kids were killed by the family members than by somebody else. There's reasons for this. Okay, this little girl's name, let me get her name here, okay, here we go. Her name is Madalina Cojocari. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right. Madalina Cojocari. She's 11 years old. And this was the last sighting of her coming. This picture makes me super sad because you see her getting off the school bus and she's just, she's got a little backpack on and she's going home, and that she was never seen again. And, I think about my granddaughter and other people's kids that I know, and they're just coming home and then they're gone. So anyway, she went missing. And meanwhile, they have now, the authorities have confiscated 3 cell phones from her family's North Carolina home, seizing 24 items. They got all kinds of warrants out. Now, the mother, this is what really gets you. Her mother said she saw the child at their home on November 23rd. The parents reported her missing to the school resource officer at her school on December 15th. 1 month later. 1 month later, they report her missing to the school. Now, the school, interestingly enough, is not required for a really long time to report to authorities. They can just send a thing home to the parents, hey, kid's missing from school, what's wrong, and they can send lots of notices. They're not actually really don't have to go to authorities for a really long time. Now, I am a previous homeschooler. I homeschooled all 3 of my children. So I didn't have anybody come after me. I had filed that I was homeschooling. The authorities knew that. But if you send your kid to school on a daily basis and they just don't show up again, I mean, that's kind of suspicious. They should have somebody out there going, hey, where's the kid? Okay, you have the right as a parent to make choices. But when there's something that is all of a sudden not normal, not what the routine was, I think there's a social service element should kick in a little bit quicker. Mother took a month to say, oh, by the way, she's missing. So at any rate, yeah, they haven't found her. Now, if a parent doesn't report a child missing for a month, I'm going to say the parents are suspects, So, and then when we look at so many cases where people say, why do you keep suspecting the parents? That's why. Because majority of the time, it is the parents. Because that's where the child lives. That's where things go wrong. And let me show you another case. I'll show you this case while I'm at it. This is the case. This little girl is 4 years old. All right. What happened to this little girl? This is, okay, hold on a second. This one is, well, I'm gotta find her. Where'd it go? Okay, hold on. Hold on. Okay. Oh, for God's sakes. So I'm having the kid goes missing problem. I mean, not the kid goes missing, but the kid is missing. But so is my piece of information about it. And it was here. Oh, maybe it's here. No, it's not there. Well, then, anyway, let me tell you about that case because I actually know what it is basically. So the biological parent of this little child left her and her sister with these other people. These people, this guy and this woman. All right. And so the two girls were with these two people for reasons which I do not know why. What happened to bio mom? I don't know. She just went off. I'm going to assume drugs, something else. But anyway, she dumped her kids with these people. They were with those people for 2 years and apparently called them a kind of mommy and daddy type of thing. And then this creep apparently beat the living crap out of the little girl and held her to the ground and pounded her chest until she was dead. And mommy, this fake mommy, just sort of went along with the program, and they just disappeared. And the other kid, I guess the 5-year-old, was left by herself, and eventually started wandering around the neighborhood saying, I've been alone for so long, I don't know what to do. And then the police now are, got these people in custody. And I don't know, I can't find my story on it, but apparently they have not found they know the kid is, oh, here it is. I finally found it. Okay, let me tell you. Missing Oklahoma toddler Athena Brownfiekd was killed on Christmas. It's just even worse. Ivan Adams, this piece of garbage, was charged with murder and child neglect, while his wife, this piece of garbage, Alyssa Adams, is charged with 2 counts of child neglect. She should be charged with accessory to murder, in my opinion. They said the man charged with murdering 4-year-old Athena, she was in the suspect's care when she went missing, allegedly killed her on Christmas and buried her body before fleeing to Arizona. They charged him with first-degree murder, and his wife got 2 counts of child neglect. You see, women get off on these things. Maybe he killed her, but she was there and she allowed it, and she didn't report it. Finally, this woman confessed on December 25th. Around midnight, she confessed not on the day. If she had confessed on the day, like she went to the police and said, hey, this piece of crap that I'm with did this. No, that's only when she got caught, she confessed. On December 25th, Ivan beat Athena and held her by her arms until she was not moving and eyes were barely open. He then laid her on the ground and punched her chest at least 3 more times, and she never moved after that. This occurred in Oklahoma. Then he left the residence and told Alicia that he buried the child near a fence line on their old property in Oklahoma. Athena and her older sister called Alicia Mom and Allie, and they called Ivan Dad and Uncle Ivan. Their biological mother, Jasmine Brownfiekd, left the girls in Adams' care approximately 1 to 2 years prior to Athena's disappearance. Here's another thing. The Adams did not take the girls to the doctor or enroll Athena in school. Now, again, I am a homeschooler. Many years, and I homeschooled my granddaughter during COVID too. I homeschooled my kids all the way through. My kids did not go to school. And there are people who go, oh, that's just because when people don't send their kids to school, they're just home abusing them. No, they're not. The majority of homeschoolers are actually trying to give their children a good life and a good education. But there are some, the reason that they don't enroll their kids in school isn't because they want to give them a good education. It's because they are abusing them and they can't have that child arrive in school all beat up. So the fact that she never took the kid to the doctor, again, there are many parents who just aren't doctor oriented. Again, I don't say that's necessarily a wrong thing, but the fact that these are somebody else's children and you don't take them to the doctor and don't send them to school is a big fat red flag. I'm going to guess it's because she's beating the crap out of them. Not her, but her husband or whatever the hell he was. And she was allowing it. So in my opinion, she should be in jail for murder. Athena was initially reported missing last week after a postal carrier found her 5-year-old sister wandering around alone at 2 p.m. The postal carrier knew the 5-year-old girl wasn't where she was supposed to be and notified police, at which point law enforcement realized that Athena was missing. Athena's older sister told the officer that she had been home alone and was tired of being alone. The officers then received a phone call from Alicia Adams asking where Athena Brownfiekd was located. That's okay. At that time, authorities determined that the 4-year-old was missing. And then they went after them and got them. Here we have two situations where in both cases, something wrong in the house, okay? So when we have a situation where a child goes missing and parents don't report it or have odd behavior, that's why. Sometimes the children dies in the house and the parents have a story about how the kid got murdered in their house in spite of the fact everybody was home. And that's a red flag, which is why the parents become suspects. Now, there are those occasions when the parents are not guilty of anything. That is just a freak thing. Somebody did get into the house, did harm their child, did abduct their child or whatever. But they are the smaller group and the parent involvement is huge. So when people say, oh, you should never, ever look at why are you looking at the parents? That's so cruel. It's because you have to. Sorry, but you have to because statistics go that direction. Now, I don't believe in using statistics for each crime, but we are aware of them, okay? And therefore, we have to look at it and say, okay, what are the possibilities? And we have to be, willing to look at the many possibilities. And I'm going to go to your comments in a second, but while I'm doing that, I want to mention these two women for the same exact reason. Okay, this woman, this is a case of, do we look at the boyfriend? No, that other case, we're looking at the parents, but what about the boyfriends? And when people go missing, all right, this woman's name is Brittany T. She was reportedly last seen at her boyfriend's house. She's been missing for over a week. She's a Massachusetts woman. She's 35 years old. She was last seen on January 10th in the area of Lewisfield on Main Street in Brookfield, reportedly at her boyfriend's home. Now, interestingly, supposedly she was seen on the street leaving the home. However, now the sister says she never left that home. Now, I honestly don't know what if there's a proper identification of her leaving the home. At the beginning of this case, there was supposedly somebody saw her, witnesses saw her leaving the home and walking away, and they described her coat and everything. And so then the question is, did she have a mental health crisis and disappear, or was she kidnapped by a serial killer? But now the sister is saying she never left the home. I don't know if the sister's telling the truth, and I don't know if the witness was accurate. But the last place was that she was spending time was at the boyfriend's house. Always is a problem. Now check this woman out. This woman is, let's see, what's her? This woman is in Pennsylvania. All right. She's been missing for 2 weeks. She's been found dead, however. All right. Her name is Jennifer Brown. She's 43 years old. She was found dead and partially buried in a shallow grave. Now, so then they found her. They haven't announced an arrest or cause of death. She was last seen alive at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, January 3rd, by her friend and business partner, Antonio Blair Watts Richardson. Watts Richardson told NBC 10 he was with Brown on January 3rd and took her 8-year-old son to his house for a sleepover that night. Okay, I'm just weirded out by that right there. I'm sorry. But boyfriends shouldn't be taking little boys over to their house for a sleepover without mommy. I'm sorry, that's just creeping out. I put Noah on the bus the next day, he claims. So in other words, he sees her, last sees her, takes the kid, next day puts her on the bus, and then the mom doesn't pick up the son from school the next day. That's how she went missing. Then this is what the boyfriend says. I have nothing to do with anything. Well, you might have something to do with something now, I have nothing to do with anything. And if look at statement analysis, when a person says, I have nothing to do with anything, that does leave open. Peter Hyatt will tell you this if you ever look at Peter Hyatt's stuff, that he actually saying that there could be something he's involved with, has something to do with. Peter Hyatt, check him out. He's always great. I have nothing to do with anything, Watts Richardson said. Just because I'm the last person to see her, that does not mean anything. But it might mean something. So here we have girlfriend at boyfriend's house, boyfriend last to see her. Do you look at the boyfriend? Do you look at the wife that was last seen by the husband? Do you look at the kids when they're last seen by their parents and were in the house and disappeared from there? Yes, you do. You cannot not do that, because majority of the time, the boyfriend did it, the husband did it, and the parents did it. That's a fact. So now you don't want to have tunnel vision, because they could be the anomaly. So you have to have an open mind, look at all the facts, and then determine which way the investigation should go, or whether you should just split the investigation and go both directions, which is reasonable. But when people say, oh, you shouldn't look, oh, you shouldn't, yeah, sometimes you actually should, because that's the way things work. That's reality. Let me check your comments. There's 51 of them. Okay, hold on. Let me go back here now. Okay, let's see. I'm going to try. Okay, let me go back up. Well, lots and lots of comments. Hold on. Oh, I heard that horn and thought UPS was trying to deliver something. No, that was back of the horn. No, I don't know. I'm sure they do have. I don't know. They have Uber Eats here in Puerto Rico, so it could be that. But no, that wasn't. I don't have any. No, I'm gonna make my own food. I got some tortillas and some beans, and down the street are some restaurants, so I might go there. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to comment on this. Marie says, I don't know about the father figure thing. How does the lack of a man in the house make a child worse than with a man in the house? Now, personally, I believe in a family. The ideal situation is to have a loving family, to have a father and a mother and the kids. That's my personal opinion. People can have different ones. Second to the perfect image of the perfect family, if things go well. Now, mind you, humans are human. Sometimes you can have the traditional family and have it be crap, okay? Because we have crappy people, you have crappy family life. But to me, that's the best of that situation. Then there are the next best situation where you have loving people regardless of who they are, whether they're male, female, stepfather, stepmother. If you have loving people, adoptive parents, whatever, loving people, foster parents. But there is this point which I want to make. If you are a mother who does not have a man in the home and you have children, bringing a man into the home can be one of the most dangerous things you can do, because children are a lot of work, and they don't necessarily appreciate that pseudo father, the fake father who's in their home. They don't relate to him properly necessarily, and children can be annoying. I mean, as a parent, I'm going to say that my children could be annoying at times, and I love them in spite of it. But when you have a stepfather who doesn't have the connection to those children become in danger, because a lot of times, first of all, the mother brings a guy into her house. She doesn't even know what kind of whack job he is. And on top of being a whack job, he gets annoyed with the children and kills them. So I think that bringing a man into a house with young children is very dangerous unless you have given that relationship a long time to develop outside where the kids are not involved, where you know that person is honorable and loving and trustworthy for a long, long time. But if that guy just, you get to meet this new guy and 6 months later, he's living in your house and using your credit cards and he kills your children or rapes them, that's on you. Don't be so desperate. Don't be so desperate. Let's see. That's just my opinion on that. Let's see. Let me go down here. Let's see. Mia says, Good Samaritan killings are gut-wrenching. Yeah, we just have to learn and live from the tragedy. Being too nice can get you killed. It can, and it can get you also. This is where people get the bad boyfriend, the bad girlfriend. They date the wrong people because they say, "Well, I shouldn't judge them." Yeah, you should. Judging is a really worthwhile thing doing. You should judge everybody, and and when you judge people, what you do is say, "I'm protecting myself. I'm going to judge what I see." And I'm going to set limits, those boundaries, until I can move those boundaries. So I will judge you. So if I'm going on a first date with you and I don't know who you are, I want to find out who you are. I want to be in a safe place with you, and I don't want to be running around. I don't want you in my house when I don't know who you are. I don't want to go to your house when I don't know who you are. I'm going to judge the fact that there's not enough clear information about what kind of character you are. And so therefore, yes, I'm going to judge. And if I'm going to bring you into my home, I'm going to judge your background, whether you have a criminal background, an addictive background, a violent background, what your situation is. I have a right to judge that and not just say, well, I shouldn't do that. It's not fair to judge. Yeah, judge away. Judge away. And people should judge you too. With this crap about people shouldn't judge you, absolutely. You should look, should say to the person, well, I'm going to go based on your past and your history. Why shouldn't I judge you? If I'm going to hire you for a job, I want to know your job history. If you're going to live in my house, I want to know your where you've lived before and what kind of renter or what kind of person you were where you lived before. Absolutely. And you should judge me and I should judge you. I don't have any problem with anybody judging me. Judge away. I'm responsible for my behavior. If you see my behavior leads you to think a certain thing about me, well, you have a right. You have a right. Let's see. I'm going to go down further down here. Marie says, I'm still scared to get new friends. I'm so scared of letting wrong people into my life. Well, just be slow. Good people aren't in a rush to be your friend. When you're traveling, I always love this statement. When you're traveling in certain countries, a guy will say, I want to be your friend. You know what that means? So, you have a right to take your time with people. Get to know them again in public places. Get to know them in clubs and activities that you do, where you start getting to know what kind of people they are. You get to know what kind of friends they have. If they got shady friends, you might not want to be hooking up with them. You have the right to go slow. And again, people, you have the right to judge, and same and vice versa. Somebody says to you, well, I'd like to get to know you a little bit better, but let's meet let's meet for lunch. We'll drive separate cars. We'll go to a safe place where you don't kill me in the parking lot. You have every right to do that. They have every right, and you have every right. Absolutely. And we don't have to be in such a rush. And let me tell you, I always point this out. Psychopaths and people who want to take advantage of you have no patience. They're not going to bother with you. If they can find somebody, there's so many other people that will cave really quickly. They're not going to waste their time with a slow poke. So that's the safety valve. Always say, no. No, I'm not giving you sex on a first date. Believe me, you won't get a second date if they're not a decent person. That'll do it right there. That'll do it right there. Let's see. Indeed, it's why I'm single at 54, says Carol. Welcome, Carol. Last boyfriend turned out to be a narc. Once I saw the pattern, it was goodbye. Not that he was ever allowed to move in. My kids came first. Good for you. Good for you. I mean, you keep that little separation until you could find out whether they should be anywhere near your kids. And if they're good people, they won't want to be near your kids. They'll say, hey, you got to protect your kids. A person will respect you for protecting yourself if they're decent human beings. If they say, well, I don't know why you do that, then they're not decent human beings. And you dump them really quick. That's a good point, Florence. Elizabeth Smart's parents had given her kidnapper some odd jobs. Then he took their daughter. Oh, top job of serial killers and other handyman. And it's because handymen don't have a boss. They just if they have some little skills, they can just pop up any place at your house and do some work, and they get paid. And while they can be very nice people and very useful people, you got to be aware that they can also be very questionable people. And you're allowing them to have access to your home, to see how your home is laid out, to see who lives there. So it can be risky. It can really be risky. And it's problematic because, we have to hire people to fix stuff around our houses. I'm lucky right now because I have a house right next to my daughter. My house was built by my son-in-law and his dad and my kids. They all built my house right next to the house that they built. So when anything goes wrong in my house, we already have the handyman built in between like four people can, 4 to 5 people in the family can fix the house. So I'm really lucky right now. But I used to own a 250-year-old house and lived there alone. I couldn't fix anything. So I had to hire people. And, that can be risky. Definitely can be risky. Oh, good for you, Grandma Tat. Last 10 years, I made better choices. I've seen the signs early and turned it around faster. Yeah. You make those mistakes. You go, God, I don't want to do that again. It's the important thing is to try to get it to people that are younger, so that they don't go through that 10 to 20 years of screwing up, making the wrong choices and taking the risks. The problem is they have to understand it. I have my book, How to Save Your Daughter's Life, which is at Amazon, which I think Amazon only has the audio copy, which I hate because it's not me. It's some woman with a horrible voice, and doesn't fit at all. But anyway, you can also go to eBay and get it, How to Save Your Daughter's Life. And I recommend giving that to any woman and any man, because this tells all the different things that people do, these mistakes people make. And if I can prevent one person from not making those mistakes, saving their lives or saving their daughter's life or their granddaughter's life or whomever, I'm thrilled about that. I really am. Let's see. Oh, that's interesting. I did not hear about this, Tikkun. January 6th, some Canadian tourists in Mexico remained barricaded in their hotel Friday after the arrest of a major alleged drug cartel leader led to violence in parts of the country. Yeah, there was that was the shooting at the airport. That was really freaky, very unusual. Let's see. Aisha says, what's the difference between a Samaritan and a vigilante? I think there's a huge difference. A Samaritan helps people, and a vigilante goes after people vigilante goes after people to help other people by getting rid of the bad people. I'm just messing around here. Let's see. Hi, Fire Opal. Don't bring strangers near your kids. Where is the animal instinct, mama bear, and people who do this? There's being kind, then there's being totally irresponsible. Kids can't override bad decisions. Oh, well said. Well said. Okay, I'm going to tell you why. It's called our own needs. There can be the need of loneliness. I am so lonely that I want a guy in my life, so I'll bring this guy in my life regardless of the fact that he's risky to my kids. I need that so badly, I'm willing to risk my kids. Sometimes your Good Samaritan stuff can actually be the same problem. I need to feel like a Good Samaritan. I need to feel like I'm a good person. And therefore, I'm going to do these good things for somebody at the risk of my kids. Sometimes it's our own needs, our own egos, our own whatever that we're paying attention to, rather than those around us that they don't get to make that decision. So when we make that decision, we can do terrible harm to the people around us. It's not okay. It's not. Let's see. Grandma Tat says, I've known so many children that were abused by their parents wanting to help someone out. One night of a stranger sleeping over can cause a lifetime of issues for their children. Absolutely. Absolutely. Or sometimes, for example, my children want to stay at this person's house, and I don't want to be offensive, and I want to be looked at like a person who's not judging. So I let my girl stay over at her friend's house, and her mom was there with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend rapes the daughter. All because you didn't want to judge them and didn't want to tell your kid no. Yeah. Oh, dude, that sucks. Wow. If somebody who'd known the family for a decade, that's another whole problem. I mean, but here again, A question is this, not always a stranger. Oftentimes we have a family member who is a squirrely little piece of crap. Our families have psychopaths in them. Our families have perverts in them. That's a fact. Not all of our families, and not all of our family, but sometimes there's that one or two. So again, we don't have to open up our house to uncle, cousin. He's down on his luck. He needs his place to stay. Can you let what's his name stay at your house? I don't know. Is he a weirdo? Is he a drug user? Is he a sleaze? Is he a pervert? Is he a pedophile? Maybe I don't want him in my house. He's an adult. Make up his own mind. Where he can pick something else. He doesn't have to be in my house with my little kids or my teenage girl. Sometimes we have to say no to our families just as well as we say no to strangers. So that's really, 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 really important. Let's say, oh, well, this is true. Poor little girl, I think of the still missing Kyron Horman when I hear her story. Yeah, in that case, we're not talking about a stepfather, we're talking about a stepmother. Now, I did a show on Kyron, and go check it out. You can go to my, the easiest way is to go to the search engine in Google, not in Google, sorry. Go to YouTube. Go to the search engine in YouTube and put Profiler Pat Brown and any case you're interested in. You put in Kyron Horman, you'll get that case. I talk about what are the different people who's involved in that case, what is the evidence in that case, and why that case is still unsolved. So let's see. Let's see. So many great comments here. Profile Pat Brown. You kid about being accused of calling all murderers psychopaths, but aren't they? Yes. If it's an actual murder, wouldn't you have to be a psychopath to kill someone? Absolutely. Yes. And I fight this all the time. Oh, he's always calling him a psychopath. Yes. Because you have to have a 100% lack of empathy to do certain things. Now, I'm not talking about self-defense. I'm not talking about you come in and you see somebody raping your daughter and you blow his head off. I'm good with that. It's okay with me. But when you attack an innocent human being and brutally rape and murder them or whatever you did to them, you have to be psychopathic to do that. You have to have zero empathy for them whatsoever. And and I stand by that. And so people want to say, oh, why do you call everybody that? You're just making it so you're just using an easy way out. No, I'm just being real. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. Yes and no. Michaela says the last person to see someone live is usually the guilty party. Well, in many cases, it is true. And that's why if somebody disappears out of your life and you're the last person, you have to have at least an understanding of why the police are looking at you. Now, whether you should lawyer up right away or not, I could argue that in the system, whether even, it's safer to do that, or you should go along and help the police as much as can so you don't look guilty. But the simple fact is the police cannot charge you without evidence, okay? If you did not do it, they will not have evidence, okay? You can still have done it and they won't find evidence. That's true too. You can get away with it. But my theory, if somebody accused me of something because I was the last person to see them, I would have respect for the police. I'd say, look, I understand where you're coming from. And I would lawyer up. I would, because that's just a safety factor. But I would say, I don't really have a problem with when it comes down to search warrants, a search warrant of your house, your car, and I don't know. If there's nothing there, there's nothing there that they can charge you with if there's no evidence. So, but yeah, I think if you're innocent, you should understand why the police are still looking at you. That's my point, or why other people are looking at you. Sometimes I get that accusation. Other people do too. For example, why do you still look at the McCanns, the Madalina McCann case? Why do you look at them? Why do you look at the Ramseys and the JonBenet Ramsey case? because at this point, there is zero evidence of an abduction or a stranger in either one of those cases. No evidence of an intruder, and a lot of evidence that is questionable as far as the parents' participation. Now, it doesn't mean 100% that the parents are guilty, but I do think that there should be no reason to say, hey, why are you looking at the parents? For good reason. Because. Oh, yeah, that's creepy. Yeah, any boyfriend who asked for a sleepover with my children without me would be gone immediately. Yeah, that's there's things also that people just have to say no to. And again, if they say, well, don't you trust me? The answer should be, if you have to ask that question, something wrong is even asking that question. No, my kids are not sleeping over at your house. Period. Ever. And if you don't like it, I don't need to be around you. I do not need to be around you. Well, exactly. I'm not a psychopath, and I could have murdered him that assaulted my daughter. I get that. That's what I'm saying. When you're talking about somebody who has harmed your child, you aren't necessarily a psychopath for that. I'm talking about when you're harming somebody because it's pleasurable and fun for you to do, and that person's an innocent person. That's the difference between that. Oh yeah, now interesting enough, most people, which is fascinating, most people whose children are abducted or raped or both and murdered do not go after the killer and kill him. Most of them don't. And people wonder, they always think they're going to. It's like, if that ever happened to my kid, I'd go after him and kill him. Do you know why you don't? Because in spite of all of that, it's still very hard for a normal, healthy human being to commit a murder, even a justifiable one. Very difficult. So that goes to show that, that's why we don't, because even though we want to, most of us won't do it. So fascinating. All right. You appear to be getting a little sun. I just one day's worth, and maybe it's just the lighting. It is, it is sunnier down here though. Let's see. Oh, I want to talk about what I'm going to do. I've been requested to do this show over and over again. So I'm going to do this show on Saturday before I leave Puerto Rico, my case show for the week. I'm going to do the Ketty cabin murders because I have had that request over and over and over again. And it is a fascinating case. And so I've been studying it to see whether there's anything I had to even do to analyze that case. And I found enough that I can do the case. So I will be doing this probably Saturday in the afternoon again, probably at 3:00 in the afternoon on Saturday, 3:00 Eastern time, because I'm leaving on Sunday, so I won't be able to do anything on Sunday. So I'm going to do that on Saturday. So I will be doing the Ketty cabin murders as I have been requesting. All right. I think that's going to be it. Oops. I want the merch that says psychopath. They're all psychopaths. I'm going to have to, one of these days I'll have a store that has, 12 people on a bus stop. Jury is 12 people on a bus stop, and everyone's a psychopath. I don't know. I'll have to have a merch store one time. Oh, Lord. One of these days I'll get around to it. But let's see what Carol says. I did not murder him, of course. He had his own 2 daughters there, but police and court instantly, jail, sex offender for 10 years. Well, at least that. But see, in spite of the fact that that's what you want to do, you didn't. And I think most people, I've seen a few times when they've shown up in court and blown somebody away, and you kind of go, I get it. I understand it, but very few people even get to that point. And it's fascinating that they don't. But again, I think if people saw the person in the act, doing the act, I think we have a lot more, at that point, more likely that somebody would pull a gun and kill them in the act, because that's so justifiable. Because at that point, you are actually preventing a crime. The problem was once the crime has been accomplished, now you're not preventing a crime, you're taking revenge. And even though the revenge is deserved, then we have a different issue involved in all of that. So Mia says, in the Idaho murders, a lot of people looked at the food truck driver, the ex, and it was a psychopath stranger. the fear we all have, the boogeyman in the night. Well, when I did my show on that, I said the police had to look at the certain people. They have to do that. Now, the problem with a lot of shows that at that time, they were saying, absolutely, this is the guy. I said they had to look at the ex-boyfriend because they had just broken up. And there was all those phone calls placed to him and that he did not answer. And the dog supposedly didn't bark at that point. I said they had to look at him because ex-boyfriends are, again, like parents, and well, they're the most likely suspect in a case where this is the most recent thing that happened. That's a revenge thing. They have to look at him regardless. And we did not get a good piece of information at the time whether he had an alibi or not. And so his alibi was still shaky. So could it have been him? Yes. Was it him? No. But they had to look at him. Now, who else would they look at? They have to look at the people that any of the four interacted with in recent times, especially most recently. And then over whatever weeks, they have to look at those. So I'm sure the police did look at all of these people, and they should. The problem was when people just go off and say, oh, that is definitely the guy who did it. And then it's like, and they went after the neighbor and said, there were videos that said the neighbor 100% did it. There were videos that said the guy at the food truck 100% did it. And it's all this 100% did it crap. It's, this is sad. And yes, it was, my two theories were, I didn't like the boyfriend was the best possibility, and the other best possibility was not a stalker of one person. Like stalkers who want to have that connection with one person usually just get them alone, and they have that moment with them. So I said it had to be more of something creepier, like an incel thing. And so it was those two that I was looking at, and it turned out to be the incel thing, incel mass murder thing. And this is the two directions I would have looked at mostly, and to find out what evidence supported either one of them. But you have to look at everybody, at the time. But you don't have to say 100% he did it. that was the problem. That was the problem. So yeah, that is actually true. Psychopaths just want to have fun. Their fun is different than our kind of fun. That's the problem. Which is sad. But, that's the important thing about raising children well and healthy, so that their idea of fun isn't violence, sexual assault, drugs, severe, alcohol, all the kinds of things that are just a disaster for life. We should raise kids to love life, love people, love animals, love everything that the world gives us. The beauty of the world, all our hobbies, and all kinds of cool stuff. There's so many cool things out there. You want to raise your children to appreciate those things, but unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't happen. And then those people are out there, and we as a society, we need to stop as much of that as we can. We need to have healthy families. We need to stop the drug scourge that's going on. We need to stop the violence, and if we don't stop those things, what happens is if we don't have a healthy family, those are the kind of things those unhealthy kids will go into. And they'll become gang bangers. They'll become cartel members. They'll become drug dealers. They'll become rapists and killers. We have to do as much as we can to prevent that from happening. That's just so sad. So anyway, that's my last little soapboxy thing. And so, yes, what time is it? Oh, yeah, it's about that time. Okay, so I will be doing Saturday at 3:00, the Keddy Cabin murders, which are pretty horrific crime. And so long ago, usually I don't like to do things that are too far back because there's so little evidence that's worthwhile analyzing. Sometimes I do little pieces of it, during a show like this. But I've got enough I think I can talk about with that show, and how I would profile that show with what I know, what leads I would follow if I were the police in that particular crime. Not that I know necessarily who did it, but that this is the way what the evidence shows me, and what directions I would say is a good way to go. So anyway, if you're still here and you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Subscribing is the best thing that could happen to this channel. Makes a huge difference. And if you want a little bit more involvement, please do join Patreon. And you can see everybody's great here, and we have such a nice chat room, unlike so many other channels that have lunatics over their chat rooms, and you're like, just a bunch of horrifying crap. So that's why I do a patron-only chat room. But thank you for being here. Thank you, Jim, for being here this time. You're a newbie here, so that's grand. And Carol, I think you're new here. You're new here too, and you're most welcome for being here. It's great. Erica, glad you were here. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Aw, I love you too. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Okay, yeah, hit that like button. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your vacation. Yeah, it's coming to an end now. I'm going to try to go. I'm trying to go to this island tomorrow, which has great snorkeling and a beach, but apparently there's some problem with the weather, so I'm probably going to get screwed out of it. But I'm having a nice time here anyway. So, but thank you, Anne. It's warmer here than many places, so I won't complain. And oh wait, we didn't have any rain, so you could hear the show. That's also that's plus. I really thought we were going to get that tin roof above me is so loud. It's crazy. And we didn't have the dog barking. We just had a couple honks, and it's all good. So I will see you here on when are we on? Thursday. So I'll see you here hopefully Saturday, 3 p.m. EST. And do look up, read up on the Keddy cabin murders if you haven't heard of it. It's a very, very bizarre murder that has never been solved and remains one of those mysteries that many people keep saying they're just fascinated with it and can't figure out why it wasn't solved or what really went down or the motive for the murder. So it's very, very fascinating. So do check that out, okay? Before I see you on Saturday. And I hope that I will see you on Saturday. Bye.